Hello, everyone. As we all know, Carvel is introducing a new feature in its tool, ytt. So the new feature is called schema validations. So let's get started with the demo. What are validations? ytt is introducing validations, which are some constraints that you can define on data values via annotations. Validation will ensure that data values in expected range of values. So in the beginning, we have YAML. Let's see. We have this deployment.yaml, and we may have lots of YAML. You want to be able to package that up and have somebody else use it. So let's say, first thing we want to do is extract the values from this YAML. For that, we will add load data value, load ytt data. And we'll replace this value with a variable, say data value instances. Now we'll have a values file which will have these instances defined. And so let's see, my deployment.yaml shows me data values instances, and my values.yaml shows instances as 5. Now let me run this in ytt, and I got the replicas as 5 from data values 5. Cool. So here what we get is output with a new value that is rendered from data values 5. Now here we are templating, but let's say someone came and made a mistake of giving value type wrong. So let's see, vim values.yaml, and here instead of number 5, they give 5. Let's see what happens. So my YAML generated shows me replicas as 5. So wow, this is well-formed YAML, but this is not a valid configuration for deployment. And this is going to give you a problem at the time of deployment. No big deal if it is simple deployment, but what if it's part of larger set of resources? That's a problem, and you want to find it sooner. So for this, we came up with schema. In schema, we declare variables, we give default values, and we infer type from default. So let's see. I have a schema file over here, and it gives the data value schema with instances 5. Now what happens here, when I include this schema file in my ytt invocation, the value of instances is automatically gets inferred. So here in schema, because it is given as integer, now I'm getting expected integer error. This is how schema checks for types and tells us expected integer. Okay, but now instead of giving us the entire YAML, we got error message. And that's like pulling the error towards left, trying to avoid going through half succeeded deployments to find out where the error is. So now type safety is what schema gave us. But now let's see. Let's update the value back to 5. And now this is our valid YAML, which is also type safe. But let's say there is a requirement that your system cannot perform well with less number of resources. Say you need minimum of 10 instances, and then you go and update in schema YAML that we need at least 10 instances. So what happens? Does our system allow? No, it still replaces the data value with 5, even though we declared a default value in schema as 10. So in that case, how do we add this kind of constraint where I want user to provide minimum of 10 instances? So this is where validations come into picture. They help improve the user's experience by catching obvious configuration errors before deployment. That's pulling the error towards left. Now, you will do this with validations in schema file. So let's see. Currently, this feature is available as experimental. So we'll first ensure that we have correct version and turn on the validations. So to do it so, we have this export line to add, and this make sure our experimentation is ytt experiment validation is set. And then we'll check the version, ytt version, sorry, version 0.42. Now this experiment is enabled. Now let's see, let's add the constraint here. How to add this constraint? Bin schema.yaml and just add one line over here. Schema validation annotation min equal to 10. And now when I run this, it gives me error that one or more data values were invalid, instances requires a value greater or equal to 10. Fail 5. So 5 is less than 10, and which is the value which we gave in values.yaml. So instances 5. So let's go and update these instances to set 11. And let's see if it runs. Boom, this all works. So we got valid YAML, we got well-formed YAML, we got valid type checked YAML, and extending validity to satisfy your own set of constraints. Let's try one more example. So let's see. As an author, you may have a requirement of having a username and password present for a particular storage. I can provide a default, but I want user to set username and password values. How do you make them do that? Write a validation that you know will fail with a default value. For that, we will add this kind of validation. So add schema validation min length equal to 1. So when I run this, you get all kinds of validation errors that are present in the schema and values file. So this first one we already saw that 5 is less than 10 and it's not allowing here. Instances requires value greater than or equal to 10. Another username, password, and for username next set of username passwords. So to couple of things to notice here, we learn about all the problems at once and not like one after other. And this is forcing user to specify a value. So let's add the values in values.yaml. Vim values.yaml. I added few instances, 215 storage, AWS, and username with some username and passwords. So in that case, now this is working. Now if say we have some default values are null, say AWS and GCS, both are null. And what if you want to be able to say that at least one of them not null? You need to specify exactly one of them. For this, we have another type of validation rule out of the box, which is one not null. So let's try that. So I have this schema.yaml, which has this storage, AWS and GCS with schema nullable added, because what if user gives both of them, AWS and GCS, null, and like they are nullable values, but we want to add a constraint that only at least one of them should be not null. So let's see what's in the values file, values.yaml. So here we are not provided any value for AWS and GCS, and let's see then what error current ytt schema will give. So it will say the AWS and GCS both are null. Now how to add that constraint? that we want at least one of them not null. So we have one more validation to add here in schema.yaml. Just add it here. So then one not null from AWS and GCS. Let's see what. So with this validation, it says one or more data values were invalid. Storage requires exactly one child not null. Check all values are null here. And then when we add again, so when we add those values again back, say, let's see, I add username and password. Let's see what it does. Now it gives me the earlier error, which is min length, but now it knows that one of the storage types has received its value. So username and password is there available. And that's why this error is not there. But now we have this constraint that the user has to have some username and password values present. We get this error, and to fix this error, we add say ABC. See, that's it. So this is how schema validations work. And so we have other thing that we have is with this schema validation feature, we have few documentation that is on the website. There is a ytt validations preview blog post that you can go through. And also we have created a cheat sheet for you. Let me share that screen. So here we go. Here we have the schema validation documentation on ytt website. You go here, schema validation. It shows us the out-of-the-box rules and some details about it. Few examples, out-of-the-box assertion rules and custom assertion-based rules. This is the preview of ytt validation blog post by John. And this is the validations cheat sheet that John and I prepared. This gives you various use cases, what kind of validation rules you can apply, like mean, length, not null, and all of these, and their respective syntax along with examples. So for example, we have already seen few of them, and then there is a one-off that can be used for enumeration, one not null that we already saw, which is for exactly one not null. So when null skip validations, these are validations over nullables. So whenever a node is annotated with at schema nullable, then its default value is null. And author may opt to short circuit validations when the actual value is null using this rule, when null skip equal to true. And the last one we are seeing today is conditionally run validations. So let me open my terminal window again, and I have this schema.yaml, which has this conditional validation added. So basically, isLoad balancer. So when isLoad balancer is called, if there is a type called load balancer, then the name must be given. That's my custom rule I want to add. So the name must be given is satisfied using assert mean length 1, and we are checking if name is present. So let's see what's in the values file. Right now I don't have here name, and so when I run this, I get this kind of error. One or more data values are invalid. Service requires name must be given. This is the custom message, and fail length of 0 is less than 1. So when I add some name over here, this validation works and the value is rendered. So yeah, these are some of the rules that schema validation adds out of the box, and there are certain custom rules you can add to using lambda functions. And yeah, so that's it for today. Let us know if you have any questions. We are reachable through Slack channel as well as in the community meetings. See you later then. Thank you.